It's a mental mind shift to where you got to start thinking cash flow, returns on your cash, return on your investors' cash. You got to have a roadmap to where you want to go. I think that's number one. And educate yourself, but don't over-educate yourself. You got to take action at some point.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the Gentle Art of Crushing It show, where we focus on learning and sharing with our listeners all there is to know about how to create success in our lives. This show stands on the shoulders of giants. Our mission is to empower and inspire our listeners to create the life of their dreams whilst having a blast in the process. Let's celebrate life together. Welcome to the show.
All right, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Sean Graham. This is the Gentle Art of Crushing It, and today we are focusing again on self-storage, along with all my episodes. I have with me today Jon Farling. Jon owns 11 self-storage facilities, over 200,000 square feet, mostly in Ohio. And this has been his exit from the 9 to 5. Excited to get him on the show and hear his story. Jon, glad to have you here.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and excited to dive into things here.
Yeah, we had some technical issues, but before this, I was saying to you, I was it was the middle of COVID. You can't go out, you can't go to the gyms anymore. So I have this rowing machine at home, and I'm on it. I'm working out pretty hard, listening to the AJ Osborne Self-Storage Income podcast, and then I hear you come on, and it's like, okay, here's this guy. He's in rental properties. He's from Ohio. I'm also from the Midwest, and you got into self-storage and quickly was able to leave your job. After hearing that, I took a lot of inspiration, man. That was pretty cool. And, it wasn't long after that I actually went full-time with self-storage as well. But yeah, I'm just excited to have you here and want to hear your story. So maybe you could just start with a little bit about that transition and tell us what that looked like.
Yeah, well, one, I appreciate that. Appreciate the feedback. When you're doing podcasts or putting any material out there, you don't know who it's hitting. I love hearing success stories. So yeah, I appreciate that. So was in an outside sales job, actually a couple of them for 13, 14 years. And our first daughter was born, actually today's her birthday. First kid, 2014. So immediately the wheels start spinning. How am I going to pay for a kid? How am I going to pay for her education, my retirement, all these things? So I've always been interested in real estate and kind of dove into single family rentals. Bought one per year, went kind of slow. I wanted to scale because I got the bug. I got the entrepreneur bug, and kind of saw what was in front of me or what could be. And realized that single family rentals wasn't for me. I wasn't scaling fast enough. I didn't have enough information to scale. So looked at a bunch of things, multifamily, looked at businesses to buy, and ended up landing on self-storage. And that was probably, when was that? 2018, I think is when I started researching it, and bought 2 of them in 19 and have been buying since, and was able to quit my 9 to 5 during COVID in 2020 due to self-storage.
Hey guys, quick break here. I get asked all the time, how do you scale your real estate business? And the quick answer is virtual assistants. So I started a company, Maven Success. And at Maven Success, what we do is, one, we help identify all of the $10 an hour tasks that you are doing as a business owner or in your business that can be offloaded to virtual assistants. 2, we create a job description for you, right, that you approve, that identifies all of the tasks that need to be offloaded and the skill sets that you're looking for somebody to come help you free up your time. And then 3, we find and we vet candidates to bring them to you, right, so that you can interview them and you can choose the best candidates for the role. Candidates start at $5 an hour and they go all the way up to $15 an hour. So we're looking for full-time virtual assistants that are going to help you free up your time and become more profitable as you focus on the work that really matters and the relationships that can't be offloaded to somebody else. Dude, that's awesome. I mean, to get into self-storage in 2019, that's amazing right there, right? Because I mean, I started discovering self-storage around then, but I didn't really know much about it and it wasn't my focus. So still in the rental properties. Luckily, I was able to get in and close two in 2000, end of 2021. But even that was late, right? Like just getting in the market, you're seeing a change of cap rates, right? From 2019, things are still probably around, just like average facilities, like suburban type of facilities, probably nine caps, and now then all of a sudden they're going down to like seven, six. Like there's a huge difference. Did you see that? Was that something you experienced,
I,
or where was the market at that
I
time?
did, but even so, I live in Columbus, Ohio. The first deal
Okay.
that I looked at, it was off market. It was in Columbus, Ohio, and that was probably late 18. And I'm going over financials. I'm like, this thing doesn't make sense. And I don't remember exact numbers, but I know that it ended up selling on the market probably early 2021 for, I don't know, half a million more dollars than what roughly like 1.5 million. And I was looking at it for roughly
Incredible.
a million. I told the guy, I was like, you're crazy for thinking $1 million. You're going to get a million for this. So
Yeah.
while I did see that, obviously a lot of factors are in there. Well, one, I'm more in rural areas, so that's a little bit different. But two,
Okay.
rental rates have increased.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of more sophistication in the market as well. So a lot of changes factor into that. But yeah, cap rates have obviously gone up, technically down up, but have gone up. And yeah, I
Yeah.
did see a little bit of that.
So that first facility, how big was it, and like what type of area was it in?
12,000 square feet, small
Okay.
town, I think 12,000 people, 12 to 15,000 people in
Yep.
Ohio. It's a really strong market. But there's only so many people in the market too. So I have expanded. I've expanded with Boxwell. So now it's just about 14,000 square feet. But yeah, it's humming along. I don't think I've been there in close to a year. So it's relatively stabilized and just humming along.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess just, for the listener who is interested in self-storage, wants to get out of the 9 to 5, sees what you did, how can they kind of follow that similar path? So what I'm wondering is, how'd you get into that first one? How'd you finance it? And 12,000 square feet, that's great, but you're talking about a rural area, right? That's not going to, after operating expenses, your debt and everything, it doesn't replace your salary necessarily, right? I mean, a lot of the value in these things is in equity, is increasing the profitability of them, and then in turn, you're making them more valuable. So, what did that like? I guess where did you buy it at, and then what were you able to do to add so much value to it?
Yeah, well, to back up to anyone wanting to quit their job, it's a mindset shift, right? In
Right.
fact, I just had hosted a mastermind last week where there are a couple newer people in the group that want to get started. They think in self storage, but it can be in anything, right? It could be rental properties, it could be buying a small business. It's just it's a mental mind shift to where you got to start thinking cash flow, returns on your cash, return on your investors' cash. You got to start thinking differently. I'm a big goals person.
Sure.
So kind of having some people like visions, I like goals. So it's kind of the same type of thing. You got to have a
Yep.
roadmap to where you want to go.
Yep.
I think that's number one, and educate yourself, but don't over educate yourself. You got to take action at some point. So
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the gist of that. But back to your question, as far as that deal, so I did SBA financing for my first two deals,
Okay.
which was 15% down for each deal,
Yep.
25-year amortization. It was a locked rate. I've since done cash out refi. But yeah, I brought
Okay.
roughly, we'll call it $55,000 to the table, which I did have cash. I did end up selling my 4 single family rentals, which then
Got
catapulted
it.
into other storage deals. But I could have done that with private money. There's a
Sure.
ton of ways to take down a deal.
Yeah, that's funny. So my first deal, rural area, 12, actually I did two. I closed on two on the same day, right? Both 12,000 square feet each. I used the same bank and did SBA financing for both of them. I had different partners on each one, different sellers on each one, but we were able to close two right there before the year end, which was good because we got the
Yeah.
depreciation right for 2021. I think we closed on December 30th. So I was just really excited to get it through. But a similar path. And I think with these smaller facilities, right, as you grow, they kind of become, at least in my experience, a little bit of a pain because you really have to manage them yourselves. Like no matter, there's so much technology out there to help you. It doesn't fully automate it. Now, like you, I don't have to just go to the facility all the time, right? Because I have the right maintenance team there. I have, boots on the ground. I've got the cameras there. I have the automatic gate. I have an overlock system where we use the Da Vinci locks, and if if the tenants or customers are late, we overlock them. So we have it systematized, but still, it's not to the point where it's like, okay, I'll go hire a third party manager now to kind of oversee all these operations. So there's still more hands on, and because of that, right, I've started to slowly like scale up and focus more on the larger facilities. And so, you're starting at, I don't know how big your second one was, but the first one was 12,000 square feet. That was a few years ago. Now you're at 230,000 square feet. I'm guessing you've kind of done a similar thing where you've started to focus on bigger ones.
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head. Is you have to scale. You have to scale to have systems. If you've got one or two facilities, yeah, they could be 100,000 square foot facilities. That's different. But it is all about scale. I did. I don't want to say I really switched to let's find bigger facilities. It's more let's find more facilities in the markets that I'm in. I own a 6,000 square foot facility, and I basically got my money back in cash. We'll call it 14, 16 months. So the thing cash flows is like crazy. Little maintenance, little work on my end, and it's also in the same town where I have another facility. So it's now if that was all by itself in its own little town, it'd be a little bit harder, but 6,000 square feet is a lot better than 3 single family rentals. I'm making $1,500 a month. Actually, you could probably argue that's 5 to 7 single family rentals. So, I have, you hit the nail on the head. You do have to scale one way or another. And you talked a little bit about third party management. I've learned too, where, I kind of have a hybrid. I have a call center. And then I've hired inner management to work alongside the call center, and that's worked for me so far. But as I scale further, I may bring that call center in-house. Your systems are only going to be as good as, as good as you are. So if your third-party management's only going to be as good as what they are, right? They're a vendor. They're not going to care for it like you, to put it best.
No, I've learned that. Yeah, I completely agree. Learned that pretty quickly. They don't care about it like you do. And so the advantages are, hey, you're going to get the most value out of this facility because you care about it the most. Yep. As opposed to a third-party manager, often it's one of multiple facilities. Now, there's some great third-party managers out there. I don't mean to say that. Like, it can be done. You just have to find the right fit, I think. And the call centers are huge. Now, that 6,000 square foot facility on its own might have been too small for a call center. But now that you combine it with another facility in the same town, it's like, okay, basically you're operating as one brand, and you can say, okay, you can rent a unit here or there. But it's like almost operating as a single facility with 2 entrance points.
Exactly.
Am I right?
That's exactly it. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So again, scale is important. The more, that facility by itself would not work with any type of other management. It'd get eaten up too fast. I'd have to handle calls myself, basically.
Right. People often ask me, they're like, well, how do you find self-storage facilities? Like, how do you find leads? And I'm like, go on Google Maps and literally type in self-storage and just start searching. And there's a lot of mom and pop owners out there, and that's kind of, that's a great place to start. That's how I've found my first facilities, like looking that way. And then you start networking and stuff. And it kind of, goes from there. But what about you? How would you answer that question for somebody who's saying, hey, I want to do what you did. Where do I
Yeah,
start?
same way, finding leads. And I've got like a hot list of 20, 30 facilities that I follow up with regularly, try to build a relationship with those people, and
Yep.
also try to build relationships with a few different brokers too. So it's a relationship game, and eventually it starts to snowball. You buy one facility from one broker, guess what? He's going to come back to you next time he's
Yeah.
got something close to that market.
Yep.
So it's all about relationships.
Yeah. I hear you. So are you doing any like new builds or new constructions too, or expansions, or are they all just straight buy and improve operations and add value that way?
I've tried to build once. A long story short, we can get into it if you want, but didn't end up building. I've done box wells, so portable units twice. Have really liked those. I do have some areas where I could build, but not a ton. So yeah, so far I've just done the easy road and done portable units.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've kind of heard mixed things on those. From a cash flow perspective, right? It's great because it's increasing your revenue. And for those who don't know, box wells, there's a few companies out there that do it, but basically it's not a permanent building. It's almost like the pods that you can rent a pod if you're moving somewhere and they put it in your driveway, you fill it and they come pick it up and tow it to wherever. It's like that, but it's there on your facility and you use it as if it's a permanent self-storage building.
Yep.
But there's some benefits to that because I think from like a property tax perspective, right? Like you're not necessarily increasing the value of the buildings because they're not permanent. They're not permanent structures. I've also heard from people they've bought them with box wells on there, and then the township has come after them and said, you can't have these here, and if you're doing it, it has to be approved and with the I guess just permits in place, and it has to be a permanent building. So that's probably varies township to township. But what's been your experience with the box wells?
They've been great so far. I would say, as far as dealing with townships or cities or whatever municipalities, you have to educate yourself. And in order to
Yep.
educate them, the worst thing I've heard is someone had to get a shed permit, because technically that's what they are. They're sheds.
Okay.
Now, yeah, there's going to be some municipalities that just don't like them. Maybe you need to move them to the back of your facility to where they can't find them, can't see them.
Yeah.
But yeah, knock on wood, I haven't had any issues. I love them. I actually finance them 100%, and I write them off year one 100%. So it's and they cash flow. For the most part, I'm filling them within 4 to 6 months, or even less, and they're cash flowing within that time frame. So yeah, I like them.
Really? So how are you? I didn't know you could finance those 100%.
Yeah.
Is that through the company, or are you using a specific bank, or what's that?
They have
How does that
They
work?
have partners. Yeah, it's basically equipment. So you can get an equipment loan for them, and depending on the lender, yeah, you can get 100% financing.
Okay. So what's the most you've added to like a specific facility? Like, you said you took, was it the 12,000 square foot one or the 6,000 square foot one? And how much did you add?
So I've done 2 orders of portable units. They're roughly around 2,000 square feet each order, each truckload. So if I did 2 truckloads, it'd be roughly 4,000 square feet. I've just done a truckload each time. I'll probably do another one here in the next couple months, and just kind of take it slow and add as I need.
Wow. That's great. That's fantastic. That's also a cool way to do it because, so I have a facility, 12,000 square feet, and we want to expand. But interest rates are super high right now. We did SBA financing, and with SBA, you can do an expansion program, right? But we're talking like 8.5% interest rate right now to do a full expansion. That might be a decent way for us to get better financing, not go through full permitting and everything, get them on there and start increasing the cash flow. And then I don't know. I would imagine at some point, if you wanted to, you could convert those to, like, you could put down pads and convert those to permanent structures. Do you know anything, like, if that's possible?
For probably, yeah, you probably put down pads if you want, and then stake them in the ground, basically make them somewhat permanent, I guess. Yeah, I'm sure you can do that.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. All right. You're giving me some ideas. I didn't know that was an option. All right. Okay, cool. So I don't know what you're seeing now, but like COVID or not, COVID's over, pandemic's over. Um, People aren't moving, interest rates are high. Uh, we're not seeing the benefits of what all that happened then, right? Like at least I'm not. You know, people were moving constantly, houses were selling constantly. This self-storage demand was just through the roof. And so recently things have changed where there's just not as much demand overall in some of our facilities. We're actually having to, lower interest rates a little bit, or not lower rental rates a little bit, and kind of adjust for supply and demand. What are you like? What are you seeing in your facilities?
I think that's probably nationwide. Talking to a lot of owners
Yeah.
nationwide, it's holidays hit, had a bunch of move outs, and now it's starting to creep back up. February, I had quite a few move ins, and March so far has kind of seen that trend as well. But yeah, it's
Right.
I'm in, my facilities are in Ohio. That typically happens. Problem is, I had one facility where I had like, what was it? It probably accounts for 10% of my rentals move out
Yeah.
within like a week. I'm like, uh oh, here comes. So that was bad. But yeah, I mean, overall, I had Mastermind I had last week. We had a self storage appraiser. That's what he focuses on and has done for 15
Okay.
or 20 years. And he said, think back 15 years ago, even like 10 years ago, how many people did you know ever use a storage unit? Maybe one person, right? He's like, now,
Yeah.
and they were hidden behind like industrial complex. He's like, now you'll see them on Main and High Street on the corner, and they look like a hotel. And now you could probably name 5 to 10 people that you know, or at least know of, that use storage somewhat regularly. So it's more people are using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a downshift right now. I think there was a little bit of a COVID bubble because, like you said, more people were moving around. But I'm still happy with storage, and at least for now.
Yeah, and I think you just have to change the strategy a little bit, right? It's kind of okay. How do you fill those vacancies back up, and you kind of have to offer an incentive, and at least that's what I'm attempting to do. We're also going into spring here, and the spring summer months typically have more demand, more movement for self storage than they do during the winter. So the economy plus it being winter didn't have a great effect on self storage, I think, as a whole. But like you've seen at the end of February, and so far here in March, I've seen demand pick back up quite a bit, which is fantastic. But by the way, sorry I didn't make it to your mastermind. I've got a 5-month-old at home, and I've been gone a couple weekends, and I'm just like I forgot to get back with you, but it's just wasn't able to pull it off right now. But
Yeah, no, all good.
it sounds like, are you going to do that as an annual event? Like, tell us a little bit about it.
I'm thinking myself and another guy are probably going to make it more, maybe a group,
Okay,
smaller group, and do a 2 to 3 year. And
cool,
yeah, we're starting to make plans right now.
awesome. That's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned the appraiser going there. How does he? Or I don't know if you know, but how do they appraisers look at the portable units and as far as value, right? Like, do they, obviously from a revenue standpoint, they're great. Um, do they increase the value in terms of, I guess like replacement cost for the facility, or do they really translate into a big increase in equity, or not as much because they're not permanent buildings?
As long as you have the right appraiser,
Okay.
they should look at them as typical income.
Okay.
Now he said every bank's different.
Yep.
Some banks will fight him on that, but portable units are also become more popular.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago, did you ever even hear of one unless someone built one on site? And, you know, you didn't have, at least they weren't mainstream. You didn't see these companies like Boxwell, or I think Tracti has some. You didn't really see those advertised as much. So it's becoming more popular. Banks are recognizing them. And now I have heard if you're over 50% Boxwells compared to your structures, then it may be tougher to get financing. But again, as things progress here, with storage, with portable units, banks are more open to lending on that stuff.
Okay. Got it. Have you gone through a refinance or a sale with the facilities that you've added Boxwells to?
Yeah, actually just did a refi, cash out refi, and no issues. They included it just like any other income. That bank is about as investor friendly as they get.
Okay.
So I don't know if I could go to a local bank and get the same valuation, but yeah, they're about as investor friendly as you can get. So I knew I wouldn't have a problem with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it sounds like, I mean, you've really created a lifestyle business for, for yourself. I guess just outside of self-storage, like what are you doing? You said you have a wife and a couple kids, and like what are your hobbies? What do you do for fun?
Yeah, wife, 2 kids, girl and boy, and love spending time with them, going to their activities. And then I play basketball still, kind of try, and then golf when I can. So
Okay.
and I enjoy business. So I enjoy, working on my business. Sometimes I need to remind myself that I need to take a break from it, but I enjoy it. That's, to me, it's considered work, but it's also kind of a hobby for me too.
Yeah, I think it's always a struggle. I think people who are entrepreneurs and really have the real estate bug and the self-storage bug, you get sucked into it, and it's just, you want to keep going and you're thinking about it all the time. And so I personally have worked a lot on transitioning between, all right, this is done, this is the work, and now it's time for family and focusing out of that. Whereas before, it's just like my mind's always going. I think that's part of the problem too, like with working for yourself. I don't know where you work, but I'm working from home. And so I think that's been like one of the biggest struggles, right? It's just, especially with a baby, because the baby's over there crying, it's like, I should go help. You can probably hear him in the background sometimes during this podcast, but it's just hard to do. So that's something I'm balancing and trying to figure out. But it looks like, do you have a separate office? Is that what you do?
I'm at home.
Okay.
I do have a room that's an office, but it's a struggle, especially during the summer when the kids are home.
Right.
I've thought about and I've looked at offices to buy or rent. Will I do it someday? I don't know. We'll see. I like it too much to where if I want to go hang out with the family, I can. I just walk outside my office and hang out with them. I still like that too much, so I don't know. Like you said, it's a balancing thing that I don't know if it's if you ever have it figured out.
Yeah, pluses and minuses to it for sure. I would never want to go back to the office, but it's it's difficult. I'm kind of like in the middle of the house, so it's a little bit different there. But anyways, I asked some questions here at the end of the podcast, and I'd love to get them from you. First one is book recommendations. Do you have any, book recommendations for the audience?
Yeah, I really like The Big Leap. That's probably one of my most favorite books. It's a lot of great stuff. It was probably the first book, probably the only book that I had to. There were pages where I had to read one page and put the book down and just think, like, it's like let everything soak in.
Yeah.
It talks about limiting beliefs, how we kind of self-sabotage ourselves. It's a great book.
Yeah. Do you spend a lot of time focused on like, have you worked on mindset a lot, or has it always been just natural for you? Because I think one of the biggest struggles, right, is like if I want to leave my W-2 or I want to go do self-storage, it's like how, like that's like it's an intimidating thing to just transition over and go do. So yeah, how has that been a pretty natural mindset been pretty natural for you? Is it all through books and
Leaving my 9 to 5 was pretty easy. I write down goals. So that was a goal. Once
yep.
I hit the goal that I needed as far as income wise, I knew it was time. And actually I went past that. So that was pretty easy. But as far as mindset, I like to, I don't want to say curious, but I like to learn things that I enjoy. So yeah, I like, and I go in seasons too. I mean, leading up to the 5 or 6 years, probably maybe more than that, of before I left my 9 to 5, I listened to so many podcasts. So the past couple of years, I've kind of taken a break from that just because I'd soaked in so much information. But yeah, kind of slowly getting back to podcast, books, and yeah, I enjoy a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I used to listen to Bigger Pockets podcast all the time,
Yep.
and it's fantastic. And it taught me how to do FHA loans, how to like get into house hacking, how to kind of build up a rental portfolio. It was great, but it also gave me shiny object syndrome so
Yeah.
much because every episode I listen to, it's like, whoa, like people are making money in like any way you can think in
Yep.
real estate. You can make money any way. You just have to pick one. So as soon as I found self storage, I'm like, all right, that's it. No more. If they have a self storage like podcast, I'll listen to that or an episode. But
Yeah.
it just sometimes it's kind of more of a distraction than
You're right.
than it is a benefit.
You're right. No, and it's a great point because there's a lot of people. Well, you even asked, if someone wants to get into self storage, what should they do? If you're killing it at flipping houses, why would you change? Or if you're going to change, at least get the business that you're doing right now, flipping houses, single family, whatever it is, wholesaling, get it on autopilot, make the hires that you need to hire, and then go to a different asset. But don't just switch assets if you're killing it at something. I think there are too many people that try to do that.
Well, what do you say to the person who says, okay, I'm flipping houses or I'm in mobile home parks, but I'm just not seeing deals anymore. So I want to go transition to self-storage. What would you say to that person?
It kind of depends on the person. Are they lying about about actually finding deals or looking for deals? Because you can find deals in any asset class, right? It's just it's getting harder for sure. But I think there's going to be probably more opportunity coming next 6 to 18 months, and but yeah, I mean, I'm shiny object syndrome. We all have an issue with it, right? Like I continue to look for small businesses to buy. Should I do that right now? Probably not. Not until I get my storage completely on autopilot and it's a living, breathing thing on its own, and I don't have to interject. I probably shouldn't do anything till I do that. So
yeah, and the way I look at it is, I mean, it's more of an economy thing, right? Like people still want the same values that they were told when interest rates were low 12 months ago. That's what that's what their expectations have been set at. So it's, I would say, focus on what you are already an expert in, because the same struggles you're having over in like finding homes to flip, it's going to be similar in self-storage, right? Like there's a lot of competition, a lot of people in it. Now, if self-storage is like your true passion, then go for it. But if it's just to solve a problem that you're having in a different industry, I think it's probably better to just like rethink strategy within your own industry. But
it's very well put. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how I don't know, how I kind of think about it, because you're still going to have trouble getting bank financing no matter, where you're at. And a lot of the same creative finance strategies and stuff, they can be used for any asset class. So it's not so much like, okay, here, just go over self-storage and life will be easy. That's not the way it works. But if you stick to it, you persevere, then you're going to find opportunities. So
absolutely.
Yeah. I was curious too, what your, like, do you have an end goal, or like where are you going with self-storage? Are you building up a portfolio that you want to sell off? Or are these just long-term buy and holds for the family? Like what's the objective?
I'm a buy and hold guy, but I'll sell if I see where, something that makes sense. But yeah, for me, I want to buy and hold. Do I want to pass down to my family? Not necessarily. I'd rather them not get anything, but have to earn it. Because that's not how we got there, right?
Right.
More than likely, the majority of us didn't have something handed to us and say, "Here's a large portfolio of whatever." You're not going to learn anything. You're going to burn the thing to the ground. So
Yeah.
I'd rather not give them that so-called silver spoon.
Well, I think it's a confidence thing too, right? Like you build confidence within yourself and you grow as a person when
Yeah.
you do things yourself, as
Yep.
opposed to just, hey, here's your portfolio of self-storage facilities and you're set. Like you're not really building confidence within your own skill set and who you are. So I
Yep.
think that's almost bigger than, or well, it really is. It's bigger than just getting all the money, the income that comes with it. So
Yep.
I think you make a
Well,
fair point.
when you think about AI coming, right? And it's coming,
Yeah,
and it's going to be great for a lot of things. But I also think it's going to make a lot of people. It's going to make a lot of people somewhat lazy, or you can kind of reframe that and say they won't be as resourceful, right? So
sure.
that's where I want my kids to hopefully learn and become resourceful and find ways to solve problems. I think
Yeah.
that's going to be a huge asset in probably is already right now, but I think it's going to become a bigger asset 5, 10, 20 years from now.
Yeah. And I think it's really just setting the example, showing them how to work hard, right?
Yep.
So even if you're well off and even if you're doing great and you're not, going into an office every day, you're working from home, you do have these self-storage facilities, you can still show them how to work hard and give them that example. Like no matter how, you don't have to go back. You don't have to say, okay, we have to go down to like nothing, and we can't enjoy life the way I want to enjoy, so I can teach you these lessons. It's more show them how to work hard, have fun, and also, enjoy what you have and be good at business. And I think
Yep.
that goes a long way. But,
Absolutely. Yep.
yeah. What's the best way for people to contact you if they want to reach out?
Probably the best ways, I've got a website. It's just L and the number 4investing.com, L4investing.com. You can reach out to me there. I'll definitely answer. Love helping people out where I can. And yeah, it's probably the easiest way.
Okay, cool. Well, maybe I'll make it to your next, group or mastermind. That'd be pretty cool to just connect. I don't know. I'm not like 4 hours from where you are. I'm in Metro Detroit. You're in Columbus, and I have a facility south of you. So, yeah, it'd be cool. And who knows? Maybe we'll find a facility that might work for us to JV on and go that way too.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, Jon, it's been great having you on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Listeners, if you want to reach out to Jon, go to l4investing.com and you can find him that way. All right. Thanks for listening.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of The Gentle Art of Crushing It. It was an amazing episode. We know we sure learned a lot, and we hope you did as well. We want to take a second and thank you so much for viewing or listening to this episode. And please just know that we only ask for one favor, and that is to make this life magnificent. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.